Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I hope you had a good lunch. I'm sure I did. So I'm Mona Bijani, as our MC has stated, and I'm so excited about our panel today. AI workforce transformation is so close to my heart. I work on it every day, and I'm so pleased to have Arvin, Gia, and James with me today. So with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite each of you to speak about what you do on your everyday and help answer this first question. AI transformation, as we have seen, is really powered by the people. How does this shape workforce priorities for business transformation? James?
Right, hi everyone. I'm James from AI Singapore. Right, I'll say that in digital transformation, right, I fully agree with what Shimin mentioned just now, is people before technology. So I think that, just share a short story about AI Singapore. We are launched back in 2017, and we started with 3 engineers. But then we are given a mandate to cover 100 AI projects. So how did we do it with 3 AI engineers? Talent development, right? So that's how the AI apprenticeship program is created, right? We created a program to train AI talents so that these AI talents can be deployed to develop these AI solutions. So today, right, we have trained more than 500 AI engineers, and they are being released back to the industry through the AIP program. On top of that, in these various collaborations that we have done with companies, right, we do require them to come with a team as well, so that this team can be further developed. We can transfer a lot of AI knowledge and skill sets to them, so that after the project collaboration period, they are confident and they are equipped to deploy as well as maintain the AI model, right? So it's really about the people. AI capabilities will unlock AI, the value that comes with AI. So focus on that, your people, right?
Yeah, go ahead, Gia.
Test. Hi, Zhijia from Workforce Singapore. Workforce Singapore is a government agency. We are a stat board under the Manpower Ministry, and our mission is to help support the local workforce have meaningful careers, longevity in their careers, and to have the skill sets in order to support that. So relevant to this theme, I just wanted to say that where it comes to workforce development, it doesn't happen in a vacuum. It has to happen in the broader context of what the businesses needs. So I thought that the theme of this panel is very on point, which is how do we transform our workforce in support of business transformation? This suggests a 2-step process. First, we need to figure out how business will transform in the age of AI, in terms of the solutions you might adopt, and in terms of the processes internally that you might have to adjust alongside this AI adoption. And then as a second step, alongside that, whether there might be new skill sets, new jobs that you might need to create, or existing jobs that you might need to redesign. So where Workforce Singapore comes in is that we provide funding to companies who are looking to redesign jobs, or who are in the process of reskilling existing employees into taking on these new jobs. And happy to share more about this later on during the panel discussion. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Hi, everyone. My name is Arvin, and I'm here representing 2 vehicles. The first one is my company, Akin by Tech Leon. It's a B2B AI consultancy. What we do is to help companies achieve business impact and social impact. So we have been doing quite a lot of regional work across AI interventions for companies like AWS, SAP, through to regional companies. The fun part about transformation, which is today's chat, is that I think for the first time it might be from ground up, because the productivity lens and the kind of intervention for efficiency happens from the workers first. Hence, I'm also wearing my second hat, which is the Vice President of TTAP. Thanks to Charmaine, who introduced a little bit about Tech Talent Assembly, which is an association under NTUC. We and Charmaine and a few of familiar faces here, we're all volunteers there. And what we want to do is to be able to uplift ICT workers, tech workers, continue to retool them and make sure that we are ready for this business transformation as well. We currently have 7,600 plus members. We are looking forward to also invite volunteers to come in to train other workers and to prepare for the next stage of, I would say, business with AI. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those introductions. I mean, through this day and a half, we've seen so much interesting tech, right? But to invest in the people who will actually use it and will be the next thing we need to kind of focus on, right? And so, Gia, I'd love to hear a little bit more from you. How does Workforce Singapore support businesses in this reskilling? Whether it is mid-career workers or starters, if you could talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, happy to share more about how Workforce Singapore can come in to support companies in your AI adoption journey. So, as I mentioned, when you adopt AI, it is not exactly something that you just plug into your laptop and then everything goes as per normal, right? Alongside AI adoption, we recognize that there will be some business processes that may need to be revamped. And alongside that, the individuals who are performing certain tasks may now see part of their task be automated through the adoption of AI, and that they now need to play a different role in terms of prompting or in terms of working alongside AI. So what this suggests is that the job that they were originally performing now needs to be redesigned. This is where one of our programs can come in to support employers, where you know that your processes need to change, but you don't quite know how. We do have a program to help employers to be able to really double-click down into how each job needs to be redesigned. Then the second part is the human aspect, right? Having redesigned the job, how do you ensure that the employees that you have are now able to perform the new job description post the job redesign? And here we do provide subsidies, salary subsidies, as part of our career conversion program, where we recognize that because of the job redesign, the new job that needs to be performed now requires the individual to perform a different set of skills that builds on what he or she might have before, but there's also a delta that needs to be put in place. And so the subsidy comes in to help companies sort of reduce the risk associated with the adoption of the transition, so that there is a longer runway for you to train your employees to be able to pick up those new skills required for them to be able to perform the new task, the new job that you are requiring them to play. So that's at the job redesign and reskilling level. But we're dealing with human beings, right? So not only is it about the technical aspect of it, we recognize that some of it also comes through sort of soft conversations, soft skills, right? How do you begin to have conversations with your staff in a productive way, in a way that reassures rather than creates anxiety? And we have rolled out a resource called the Career Conversation Handbook, guidebook, which helps both the employee as well as the line manager prepare themselves ahead of a conversation like this. So how do you begin to have a conversation with your staff who is impacted because of AI adoption? How do you assure your staff that there is a longer runway that you do see him or her playing within your organization? And how can that individual, the employee, also prepare his or her questions coming into this conversation so that when the two parties meet, it is in a more positive way? How you can focus on the positive aspects of what's to come. And so that's a resource that we have put out from Workforce Singapore.
Thank you, Gia. And it's nearly like a mindset shift, right? Both from the employee, the actual employer, and everyone involved. Thanks for that. If I can move on to you, Arvin. I mean, through your multiple experiences you've had, and most recently with your company and your involvement in TTAP, could you tell me a little bit more about what capability gaps you see in the market, kind of really critical for that business adoption towards AI?
I think capability gaps itself, more than often, when a business functions, when you talk about capabilities of a business, it actually resides and is limited by the talents you have, right? It's the pool of talents you have in a company. And I think that's why a lot of companies, and I mean it from startups all the way through MNCs, want to invest in talent acquisition, talent growth, as well as talent preparation. So if the question is about what is the most challenging at this moment, I actually think that it has not shifted that much, even on the lens and the face of AI. And I'll explain that. Just 10 years ago, I think all of us has been through another round of so-called disruption, which is, we were just talking about it, mobile application. If you think about it, iPhone 3 just came out in 2012, thereabouts. It's not too long ago, 12 years ago. Now, when that came up, it transformed the way that business interacted with direct to customers. It transformed the way that payments are made and transactions are made. So if we think about what were the capabilities gaps back then, it's about still making sense of what exactly the pain points of each business at that moment in time. It is also about thinking about future-proofing, given a new launch of technologies, and right now it's internet in your pocket, right? I'll bring it fast forward. In today's lens, when we're talking about AI itself, the same sort of problems you need to solve, like what Zhi Jia mentioned, is actually process basis. What exactly is not effective within an organization? What exactly can you help? And what exactly are the problems that we need to solve? Just that the thing that's different now, which I mentioned earlier, is that that transformation resides from ground up. And that means that right now, even without a top-down led intentional change, we still can change ourselves from a worker perspective. And that's where the magic happens. Technology now is not adopted by companies, then spread downwards, but it's adopted worldwide by people, ourselves. In the past, I like to ask when I'm on panel, who has not used 5 AI tools? And I think right now the question is, who hasn't used, right, 5 AI tools already? And I think if we were to just jump in a little bit deeper into challenges, I can state 3 things that is prevalent. Number 1 is still knowing what's the business problem to be translated into a technical brief. This goes throughout, not just for AI solutions, but in general, this goes towards improvement. And I think James and I had this chat about writing technical brief, and it's about the role of BA and BI, which is still very relevant today. Business analysts and insights, where you can really draw where the data is coming from, what kind of data blueprint is missing. Is it an architecture point of view, or is it an engineering on the infrastructure tech stack point of view, right? Kubernetes language aside, it's really about identifying what exactly is the issue. That's point 1. Number 2, in terms of challenge of AI adoption, is that we, I think, as a society and as a business ecosystem, move and jump on proof of concept and pilot projects maybe a bit too quickly, where so there's, of course, tensions with this statement that I just made. There's a camp of people who thinks MVPs are the way to go, and I truly believe in that. But there's also another where after proof of concepts has not succeeded, regardless of whatever reason, they stop. And I think iterative learning and agility has always been there as a model to emulate, to move agilely across different sets of pain points. But first, you got to define them, right? So back to my point number one. The third challenge right now is, I think, in terms of the AI lens itself, the last check done by Gartner is there's 70,000 apps right out there, off the shelf, AI products, tools, software. What is the use case of a turnkey solution right now versus off-the-shelf usage, and the efficiency, fluency, and the literature that you actually know when you describe an AI solution? So that's where I think James will come into mind, where he has a lot of experience to share from the successful use case. So for me, I think, to put it a short summary, is that the challenges we face right now, I think I won't put it as a challenge, but an opportunity. Because all of us has access to the tools right now, and it does not cost us $2,000 to subscribe per month. It only costs us $20 on certain platforms. We should get ready, understand what does it mean, what is agentic exactly, what are logic maps, and learn from the ground up workers, which is what TTAP always advocate for. So I think that's my perspective itself.
Thank you so much. And I just want to add to that. I mean, our habits are what we do every day, right? And so embedding an AI tool, it can even be free one, into our habits then can help us at least upskill ourselves in that practice, right? And James, I'd love to come to you. I mean, AI Singapore has a plethora of initiatives, right? There is the apprentice program and others. If you could share with us what lessons have emerged from your work there in embedding AI and the ecosystem we have at hand.
Right. We have a flagship program called AIAP, or AI Apprenticeship Program, right? So this is a national level program that trains AI engineers in Singapore, right? So what I have realized in the last many years, right, in AI Singapore is that the best training to give to our apprentices are real-world industry problem statements, right? Nothing wrong with classroom problem statements, no, nothing wrong with that, but real-world industry problems do come with real-world problems, and this is real, right? I'm going to call you an example. One of the projects that I was involved in, sometime in a third into the project, right, we found that a very significant amount of data sets were repetitive. It is very hard for us to know this right from the beginning because it takes due diligence to really check all the various data sets that is coming in, right? So things like that happens, right? Because from a model training perspective, right, if you have such unvaried, similar data sets, is very little value to model training. It's very, very little, right? So you need to handle all these things. So it's as real as it gets, right? Real world industrial project. The next thing we learn is diversity. Very interesting. Only 20% of all our apprentices, and we have graduated like more than 500 now, right? Only 20% come from computer science and computer engineering educational background. Can I share with you something, right? The best AI engineer that I have met in AI Singapore, guess what's his background? He's a marine biologist. True story. And there's this project that was featured in Prime Minister's National Rally speech this year. Is that dental project from Q&M, dental clinics, right? Now, the engineer who is involved in this project, he was a HR manager. And his educational background was psychology. What has it got to do with AI? But he did. He was very successful. In fact, he's pursuing his PhD right now, and he's going to graduate next year. right? And the very model that he has developed is still serving the community, making diagnosis faster and more accurate, right? That's AIP. Do we have time for more on ERI?
Yes, please.
All right. There's another online tool that we have developed. It's called AI Readiness Index. You can search for it. AIRI, right? AI Singapore. It's only a 10 to 15 minutes assessment, and you can find where your company is in terms of how ready you are in adopting AI, right? And again, just like AIP program, it was created because we actually have difficulties identifying companies who can come and collaborate with us on the 100 Experiments program, which is a flagship program that we have, right, in helping industry enhance AI adoption and capabilities. Yeah. So we find that a huge number of companies who wants to adopt AI, but they are not ready to do so. For example, they do not have senior management support. For example, the data sets is insufficient or not relevant for model training. So things like that, right?
No, thank you so much. I mean, I think we're hearing a lot of from the ground up, right? In order to do things, people, processes, and otherwise. I'd actually love to invite some questions from the floor, if anyone has any, before I kind of go on we still have many other questions to ask this great set of speakers. Anybody? Here you go. Could I have a mic, please?
Thank you. Thank you so much for your profound insight and wisdom. My name is Patrick. Just a quick question. What is your greatest hope and deepest fear for AI? Thank you.
Okay. Anyone want to take a stab at that?
Sorry, it was greatest
Greatest hope and greatest fear.
Greatest hope and greatest fear. I think I can share greatest hope and someone can take greatest fear. At TTAP itself, we interface with a lot of mid-career change. ICT workers, tech workers coming in or leaving the space as well. I think everyone is a bit puzzled. Is there a roadmap to development of AI skills in a person? And I think AI is a kind of a language, if you let me put it that way, to reach your outcome in a faster and more efficient way. I think one of our advisors at TTAP is Senior Minister of State, Tan Kiat Hao. He put it very succinctly. He says that while AI can potentially take over all the grunt work in the tech space, we hope and we have seen momentum to help Singapore workers develop themselves into a breed of workers who's able to problem solve at a higher level, upstream, like what they say. I think this is extremely critical because it allows us to critically solve problems. It allows us to be able to help more people and put things into a more meaningful way. So that's the greatest hope I hope to see.
Okay, since Arvin has taken the hope part, right? I'll take the fear part. My greatest fear, right? And I'm speaking from perspective of, as a father, right? The next generation, or in fact, even current generation, then we are so fearful on new technology like AI that we are afraid to try and learn. Because if we do not take that step of learning and increasing our capabilities, let me assure you, our neighbors are. The person next to you, they are doing it. Yeah, so that will be my greatest fear.
Thank you so much. I think definitely encompasses sentiment in the room. Yes, we have another one.
You're a father, but I'm a grandma. So I have my fear too, and looking at my grandchildren, what's the future for them? What is going to make them AI ready or even future ready? And would there be anything that can be very disturbing that if we don't address it now? And where are we going? There's another question. And we seem to assume that all the data we collected, they are like rather accurate. Can we trust AI, the kind of data they churn out? Because whenever in any seminar we talk about, oh, this is good because it can mine all the data to help us to plan for the future. So that is a big question for me too. How do we trust AI for our future? Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'll take a small stab and then have you guys, you can have some time to think. Maybe Gia, you can have a thought there. The way actually a professor described to me AI is your intern, right? Do you trust your intern to do something? You know, you kind of, you have oversight, you teach them, they go and do something themselves, they come back, and it's a iterative process, right? So that's what helped me put in perspective where AI is now in the current landscape of things. How it looks like for our future is very hard to know what happens tomorrow, right? So, but I think I'll leave Gia, maybe you can lend an opinion.
Yeah, that's a very challenging question to unpack. I don't know if I have the full answer to this, but maybe let me tackle this at two levels. I think the first is really more near term, right? Given that what we see are possibilities in terms of hopes and also fears on AI, what is it that we can encourage? And I'm wearing my Workforce Singapore hat now. How can we encourage employers to consider the workforce development impact as they adopt these AI solutions? And the way we are organizing our programs is to speak to that, so that, you know, as much as possible, let's not leave anyone behind. Let's really lean towards the hopes part. Let's reap the benefits, the productivity benefits that we know AI can bring us, while as much as we can mitigating the downside. So that's in the near term. But if I were in your shoes, right, with grandchildren and 20 years ahead of them, I think that's the challenge. I don't know whether we can crystal ball gaze. I mean, the truth is that maybe 5 years ago at the same panel, we weren't talking about AI, right? I think we were talking about what digitalization and automation was probably the topic of the day then, but every panel now is talking about AI. I think if I were in your shoes, or maybe if I were to project 10, 20 years ahead, it's going to be sort of breaking it down into what might be skill sets that only human beings can do. I know it's a bit cliche, but I think it's really that sense of curiosity, that sense of knowing how to work across boundaries, knowing how to work with technology. I think maybe this is the emerging part that children need to learn that maybe 20 years ago we didn't have in our education system. But really doubling down on areas that we know makes us human. I think that would be what I think would continue to endure in the next 10, 20 years. The sense of curiosity, the sense of lifelong learning. 31st December is coming up, skills future credits expiring. You know, the whole national move towards how do we keep learning, right? I do think that there is something in there that will continue to endure in the next 20, 30 years, whatever the technology might be, whatever the panel might be talking about then.
Thank you, Gia. I'm just going to bring this panel to a close with one last question as we are running out of time. And maybe we just keep it to a sentence each. It's a question from myself. So maybe you can take it offline with them. So to close it off, right, if you could prioritize one capability or mindset in a sentence for organizations, employees, ourselves, to build over the next, let's say, 1, 2, 3 years, what would it be and why?
I can go first. I have just a sort of like an anecdote to share. We all have experienced how AI has helped us do things better and faster. We might save 30 to 40% of our time. So my question back to you after saving that time is, what would you do with the amount of time you have saved? Can we make it a little bit more meaningful? Can we start to help other people? Doesn't necessarily need to be the adoption of AI, but can we do something more meaningful and purposeful? I think that's something which I'll leave that question to the crowd to decipher. But just to remember that I think there's extra time now, and there's a lot more things we can do, both for ourselves and the society as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Arvin. Gia?
Yeah, actually, I would like to build on the idea that Arvin had put out. I think going back to what makes us human, what makes us different from machines, what makes us different from algorithm. I think that recognizing what makes us human, what makes a community, I think those aspects would be important. And also just to emphasize what I had shared earlier, I do think that sense of curiosity, the spirit of let's continue to learn. I think that would be something that I think would really put us in good state, no matter what the technology developments would be.
Thank you.
Yeah, for me, I think it's relevant to both companies or an individual, and that is to be AI ready. Focus on how we can unlock the value of AI, right? I think as human being, right? Now, this is something that I will sharpen my children, and that is 2 things, right? First thing is sharpen his ability to provide strategic oversight, strategic mindset, right? Secondly, make good judgment, to be the ability to make really good strategic judgment. So this is what I tell my kid, yeah, for myself, right? But I think as a society, right, as a whole in Singapore, we need to look at technology as something that reflects our culture as well as the reality, right? Reality of our society. So I guess this is also a job of the government. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. We've run out of time, so thank you so much, James, G, and Arvin for this. It's been a pleasure moderating, and thank you for your questions.